I might record this as well. And then that way, if anyone misses it, I can always pass that on. Cool. So Herbert, look, we're going to start, I think, just with some intros while we're waiting. It's, I'm sure people can kind of catch up on the content, but we'll just get some of our intros out of the way. If you have never met me before, my name is Alex Asher. I'm the CEO of LearnCube. And what we do is we specialize in providing a virtual classroom and online end-to-end software for language schools. So we've been doing this for over 5 years. We work with Babbel, Kern Training, ABA English, and many of the other leading and iconic companies in the language learning space. We've been helping, even physical schools transition online for a while, but I think this is obviously a momentous occasion in terms of this year. So we're seeing a lot more people wanting to learn more about changing online. So that's kind of what we do. That's what LearnCube does. And I have been very lucky to get to know Herbert. I'll start with a little bit about Herbert, and then I'll let Herbert talk a little bit more about his own experience. But one of the things that's always impressed me about Herbert is his real understanding of the language learning space. From our side of things, that's our jam. And so to have somebody that's a digital specialist on language schools is a pretty phenomenal thing to have. And that's why we're good partners and we enjoy hanging out and having these talks for you folk. So Herbert, tell us about your experience though. You've worked with a number of other organizations too.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for the introduction, Alex. So yes, as Alex said, I specialize in helping language schools grow their enrollments through paid advertising, specifically Facebook and Instagram ads. Why language schools? I come from a language school background. I've been in the industry for about 13 years now, starting off as a business English teacher at Berlitz and then going into corporate sales for a language school, having sold language courses to companies internationally, and then organically transitioning into marketing. I helped my last language school employer with some Facebook ad campaigns. They worked and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, about 1.5 to 2 years ago, I decided to open a digital marketing agency specifically for language schools, and here we are.
Yeah, so it's a good combo. And look, we're really lucky to have all of you folk listening in today. We're going to be going through some really interesting stuff. I mean, obviously I've been able to check it all out before you kind of came in here, but we've got some exciting stuff to talk to you through. One thing I would like those of you that are listening is there is a Q&A button there. So if you have a question, this is your time at any time just to pop those questions in there, because we want to make sure that we've got enough time at the end of this so that we can answer those questions. And likewise, we'll keep an eye on it throughout this. Herbert, with his specialty being marketing, is going to be leading this presentation, but it's not just meant to be a presentation where you kind of just listen in and then do nothing. The whole purpose of this is that we want to provide some really actionable feedback, and for you to go away with like, not only did I learn something, but maybe you asked a question and we could actually maybe unblock some of those kind of questions that might be on your mind. So one thing that can also help as well is just building a bit more of a community in this particular call is using the chat. So I'm just going to put something in as well. So just introduce yourself if you like. If you don't want to, that's fine, but you might even just put in your first name and your role, and maybe even, if you're a language school or if you're something else, just let us know that. If you feel like you want to list also your, which organization you're from, welcome to do that as well. So I'll just put that in now. But it is nice to know who's with us so that we can, even as we speak, even if you don't have a question, we can make this a more relevant exchange. So without further ado, I'm going to pass you over to Herbert. I'm going to sort of jump in with what I've seen work from the various language companies that I've seen do really well. And we're going to keep into it. So Herbert, why don't you lead us through? I'm also going to be on chat, so I'll be sort of managing that while Herbert does the hard work of actually talking through this.
Fantastic. Thanks, Alex. Yes, and I do want to, this isn't just a presentation. I want to give you some actionable tips on how to market your language school and your language courses during this time. And I really want to go into more detail at the end of your individual situation, your language school situation, and ask any questions that you might have on what I'm about to show you. So as I mentioned, I really want to focus on actionable tips that you can really implement now to drum up business in this very, very difficult time. So I've split it up into basically 4 phases: retargeting, picking your niche, finding your ideal audience, and then actually running your campaigns. But first off, you are probably thinking, Herbert, why would I spend money on advertising right now? Cash flow is low. Everyone's talking about an economic downturn, a recession is coming. People aren't interested in, enrolling in language courses. That's not true, and I'll show you some proof a bit later on. But as the old saying goes, when times are good, you should advertise, and when times are bad, you must advertise. And we can take a brief look at the past to see why that is so. Many of you may not know the brand on the left, but Post cereals back in the 1920s was the category leader in ready-to-eat, cereal brands. And during the Great Depression in the 1920s, Post decided to significantly cut their ad budget, while their competitor Kellogg's decided to use that time to build brand awareness and invest in not only in ads, in advertising. Back then it was mostly print advertising, but they even launched a new product, which was Rice Krispies. And the rest is history, of course. Kellogg's was then able to become the category leader in the market after the Great Depression, and has been able to maintain that position ever since. Another example is back in 1990, 1991, where there was also a recession. Pizza Hut and Taco Bell took advantage of McDonald's decision to wipe out their advertising budget. And over that period of time, Pizza Hut and Taco Bell were able to raise their revenue by up to 50 to 60%, whereas McDonald's actually decreased in value by 30%. So just a little historic bite to lead us into why advertising is a good idea right now. So the first point of call is retargeting. Now, when we talk about retargeting, I mean focusing on people who have already engaged with your school or your brand. So that could be people who have already visited your website or have visited specific pages of your website, for example, a course page, people who have contacted you, filled out a registration form, Facebook and Instagram followers. These are all people who have interacted with your school at some point in time in the last 30, 60, 90 days. And the fantastic thing, especially with Facebook, running Facebook ads, is that you can create custom audiences. And this allows us to upload lists of customers, like newsletter subscribers, leads that haven't converted yet or that haven't enrolled in courses, as well as past, present, and future students. And why is this so powerful? Because these are warm and hot leads that are much further along the sales journey or the customer journey, and people who need that extra bit of push to enroll. And how can we do that? I'll show you an example after this slide, but it's about leading them to the sale, asking for the sale, providing them with a book now button. Student testimonials are extremely powerful in this stage, as well as time-sensitive offers, a little bit of urgency also never hurt.
Yeah, and one of the wonderful things about retargeting as well is just acknowledging that you already kind of know that they're further along the sales funnel compared to, you know, anyone that's coming to your website. It's like they've already at least know what you're about. So trying to educate them is, you know, they're like, oh, I've already seen this brand. Even if they don't remember, they're certainly going to, you know, subconsciously have that as their second or third experience with you.
Absolutely, you're very right. And you know, as we all know, prospective students need multiple touch points. So it's not only about seeing a Facebook post or going to your website once. You know, you need to be in front of them all the time, and you know, stay top of mind. And you know, retargeting is really the most cost-effective way of doing that, and can provide some amazing results.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that, isn't it, Herbert? Like, if you were to start anywhere, and to be fair, we're even doing this at LearnCube, because it makes a lot of sense. Like, people get busy, they come to your website, and then they leave.
Exactly.
If there was any one segment that's more likely to buy from you, it's somebody that's already come and visited you. So if you're worried about where you spend your money, please try and spend it with money that you're already, you know, with people that you've already connected with in some way, compared to completely random strangers. So am I right? Is that how you would prioritize this, Herbert, as always your number one?
Absolutely. This really, any business should be doing that, you know, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. You can set up a retargeting campaign for $5 a day.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost anything, and schools who are not retargeting are leaving money on the table because they aren't staying top of mind with prospective students.
Yeah. One of the things I actually learned, and Herbert, you'll probably be better at this than I am, but I heard that, and as I say, it may be different from industry to industry, but in terms of you accumulate all the people that come to you and then eventually buy from you, maybe only 20%, maybe only 10% might buy from you in that first week, or in that, and then it might be like another kind of 20% that might buy from you in that second week, and maybe it's 50% that buy from you in that first month. But actually, there's probably like a good 50% of those people that may take 6, 12, 18 months before they buy from you. I don't know. Have you had that experience in language teaching and students? Like, is that also something that's true?
Absolutely. You know, especially with study travel schools or ESL schools, you know, that customer journey can take a long time, you know, up to 1.5 to 2 years from the first time they contact you. You know, they're gathering information. Oh, I'm looking at coming to Canada, for example, for a 2-month-long program in summer of 2021. But in between that time, you know, they're getting bombarded by, you know, other schools and advertising they'll forget. So that's why it's so important, even after someone contacts you, is to stay in front of them.
Makes sense. Thanks for that, Herbert.
Sure. So here are a couple of examples for you from language schools that I work for. Both of them are retargeting ads, again, for people who have already visited the website or who have interacted with the school before. What's really important is that we need to get their attention. You know, there is so much content out there these days. You need to interrupt their flow by calling them out. You know, for example, on the left-hand side, this ad for a German school, you know, the first sentence says, "Did you change your mind?" It's a little cheeky, but it is very effective. You know, people who have visited a course page, you know, probably got busy, or, you know, they've exited the screen. Then they would see an ad like this and say, "Hey, you know, you were looking at enrolling in a course. This is what the benefits are of, you know, our school, our method, our teachers," and it's about making the text, the ad copy, about them. So it's not about you. It should never be about the school. It should be about them and how you know, your school's USP can help them get to where they want to go.
I thought this was quite a unique difference that I wasn't too aware of, Herbert. Like, a lot of us learn, you know, talk about the benefits and those sorts of things. But I think a lot of the time we kind of think of the benefits, but still it kind of comes across like the benefits of using us, whereas as opposed to the real benefits for that student. And I think they are kind of a bit different, and particularly the copy. I love the copy that you've got here. These are really good examples. So take a couple of notes here, but they really they're coming from the student, rather than from like a pushy kind of, this is what the language school tells you are the benefits of joining with us. You're going to learn faster, like that's fine, but it's still not necessarily coming from that student perspective.
Absolutely. And, in order to write copy like this, it's important to know who your students are and know why they are enrolling in language courses. Is it because they, want to immigrate to your country? Is it because they want better job prospects or get into a university? And that needs to flow into, what you write in your ads. Especially with retargeting ads, a sense of urgency is always quite good, asking for the sale and mentioning prices. Nice. So these are two good examples that have worked very effectively.
Excellent. Well, we're already halfway through, so I feel like we're kind of making some good progress. Remarketing is a really important factor. Tell us more, Herbert.
Sure. Oh yes, of course. When you run ads on Facebook, it's not just Facebook and Instagram you are running ads on. It is Facebook's audience network. So no matter where people are on the internet, whether it is reading CNN or South China Morning Post, they're playing a game on their phone, or they're looking at a favorite recipe, like on the left, vegan heaven, your ads will be there. They will be in front of them wherever they go. And that is really the goal of retargeting, or really of any ad campaign, is to achieve omnipresence.
Got it.
Yeah. Then the next step, so once you've got your retargeting ad campaign all set up, is to then go out into the big wide world of cold traffic or cold audiences. So people who don't know about your school or your offer yet. And at the moment, right now, it's very important to be very decisive when picking your niche, and you don't want to use the spray and pray approach, where you're just going out into the bigger wide world and marketing to anyone who's interested in language courses. So what has worked very well with language schools I worked with is really focusing on closer to home. So focusing on your local or domestic market and leveraging your already established reputation there. Targeting people in a specific geographic area, so within your city or other cities or other regions in your country. With travel restrictions in place all around the world, this is really the target market to focus on right now. Whether even if you are a study travel school, an ESL school, with the majority of your students coming from abroad, why not reposition your courses to expats and foreigners in your own city or in the country that your school is in? So that is certainly where to start. And then if you decide to look abroad and broaden your horizons, then again, it is crucial to niche down on who your target market is and not just choose any market or country at random. Usually you want to look inside of your own school and see where the majority of your students are coming from, whether that be from Brazil, perhaps from an ESL school, or from the EU or from Australia, and focus on that target market. Some schools have a very good relationship with agents in a certain country or in a certain area, and that would also be great to leverage.
Yeah, even those agents could be really, maybe they're not used to sending you lots and lots of students, but actually if you take away the whole barrier of them having to cross the entire world to get to you, then they may still have actually quite sophisticated networks and ways of getting your message out there. So definitely worth keeping in mind. One other thing I think of with this is, if you go for that spray and pray approach, you're trying to, it's David versus Goliath, and you're trying to pick up that big same sword, and that is a really heavy thing to swing around, and that means there's a lot of waste with it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's very expensive. You're generally going to be targeting really expensive words, so you're paying the most, and then you have the least chance of kind of making it because there's the highest competition there. So those are
Absolutely.
good ways of really thinking about who you're spending your money on.
Yeah. And you want to spend your money effectively, right now.
Definitely.
I mean, you should always want to get the best return on investment. So, these are also strategies for the future, after all of this has passed. When now you need to find where your audience is. So now you've niched down on your target market. Where is your target market online? And the next slide will encompass basically 98% of all language schools. Most ESL schools, foreign language schools, B2C schools will find their target groups and target markets on Facebook and Instagram. If you are in B2B, however, if you offer in-house company courses or corporate courses, then your target people, your contact people, like the HR managers, the training and development managers, and the managing directors are all on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You will probably notice that I haven't listed Google or YouTube. Why? YouTube advertising can be effective, and we all know that video is the future. However, people, when they go onto YouTube, they want to watch their video. They don't want to be bombarded with ads. And I mean, I'm sure you know yourself, Alex, when you go onto YouTube and you type in whatever you want to watch, and then you have to watch an ad before you watch the video, or it comes in the middle of the video, and all you're waiting for is that countdown clock, like 3, 2, 1 to watch your video. So, and creating a compelling video ad is much more complicated and often much more expensive.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, even just in terms of getting it out the door, man, you have to have a good, like, if you think about it, somebody is watching something good enough to watch on YouTube. So, and that might be, a trailer or some kind of cinematography. If they see, world-class movies that they're looking at, and then suddenly they see like a really unprofessional YouTube ad, I mean, it's not going to fly.
Yeah. But on the other hand, an unprofessional or maybe not high quality ad or a testimonial, for example, that's done on your phone is fine on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook and Instagram are social media platforms. It's a P2P, person-to-person platform where people are looking for other people. So it's actually better if your photos and videos don't look that professional. They shouldn't be too polished. I haven't listed Google on here. The reason being is that Google platform is a fantastic platform and is an important part of any school's marketing strategy. However, as you know, it really only targets the top 3% of the market, and that 3% are people who are actively searching for a solution, actively searching for a language course in Canada or in Australia. Small percentage of the market, obviously a very good segment of the market because the intent is extremely high, but that's why Google is so expensive, because you are competing with everyone else and everyone wants that piece of the pie. The other 97%, people who are aware that they have a problem, aware that they've thought about, going to Canada to learn English before, or some people aren't even aware that they should improve their English skills, to better their job, chances. So this is where you can really make a difference and where there is an untapped market. And Facebook and Instagram ads are so powerful because you can really set yourself apart from your competitors with the design and the creativity of your ads, which we'll get into in a second.
Herbert, we're about 5 minutes out from the official kind of time on this. So part of me is thinking as well, like, let's also help our audience here direct what they want to hear about. What were the kind of high level ideas that we were going to cover in the last component, and either we just continue on as we have, or we allow the audience here to kind of help kind of direct some of the things that they're interested in.
Well, I was actually going to now show you examples of good ads and bad ads, and basically a checklist of what to
Nice.
Keep in mind when creating your ads. So these next couple of slides are probably very valuable.
Definitely.
Because it kind of like sums everything up and gives you actual techniques and strategies on how to run your ads. When it comes to
Excellent.
that.
We've got some good noises that this is what they want to hear. Show us some examples.
So here's one example of an ad, and this is probably what 99% of all language schools this is the type of ad that they post when they first get into Facebook advertising. It's a simple ad. It's quite clear what the school is offering. But to be honest with you, it's not that interesting. It's not, it doesn't capture my attention. Why? The text in the ad is quite short. It's all about the school. It's nothing about the student. The photo is generic. And it's a stock photo. I mean, if there's anything that you take away from this webinar today, is please do not ever use stock photos. It's not worth it, and they don't perform. So that's a big no-no. And the headline is uncompelling. So here's a checklist of how to write high converting ads. Use a hook. And what I mean is, in the first sentence, you really want to draw the prospective student into reading the rest of what you have to say. You can do that by calling them out, actually calling the target group out, calling out their problems and desires, using yes questions. For example, do you want to improve your job chances? Or do you want to improve your English? Those can be quite effective. And getting into the habit of writing longer copy. Longer, sure, doesn't always mean better, but telling stories and from the viewpoint of your student is always much more interesting than just writing a couple of lines about your school and why they should enroll.
Just while Herbert's talking here, just in the chat, if you can, just start putting some of the personas of students that you think you might be wanting to call out. Because I think one of the mistakes here is when we think of a group, oh, I'm going for this target group. And I think it does come back to that idea of, what's that one individual look like? And then you can kind of talk to that avatar. This is not rocket science. I'm not coming up with new stuff here. But I think if you can kind of give us some of those avatars, we'll also start giving you some ideas with what that hook could look like. And I find that quite a useful sort of task is to really think about who those people are. So we're talking about calling out those problems. And again, that's where these avatars can kind of come through. So tell us more about the benefit and solution there, Herbert.
Talking about the benefits rather than the features. Of course, most language schools have native speaking teachers. It's probably one of the most things that people write in their ad copy. But how is that going to help the student? It's even just enough to write, okay, we have native speaking teachers so that you will get to your learning goals quicker. That's fine. And also listing out those benefits that they get when they enroll with your school. And it's all about making it about them. It's never about you or the school and about how good you are. It's about, you can position yourself as a leader in the industry, but how is that going to help the student at the end of the day? One specific call to action is also incredibly important, whether that be book now or contact us now to learn more. Student testimonials are when running any type of advertisement. Most schools already have student testimonials on their website, on YouTube or on Google or Facebook, and it's great to use those in ads as well. Two other very important things when using photos and videos: please use photos of real students and real teachers interacting, whether that be in the classroom or online at the moment. Happy, smiling, positive emotions, outside photos perform extremely well, especially for study travel schools. Do not use stock photos, as I said, and you want to not use any text or not even put your logo in the photo because you want to you don't want to look like an ad. And the only way of not looking like an ad is to use photos of real people without any text in them. As I said, video is the future and video ads perform extremely well. Maximum 30 seconds. Don't try and use really long video ads. You need to capture their attention quickly and people don't. It's not YouTube. The logo should always be first. So fade in the logo in the first second and then fade back out and then show what you want to show. Audio is the most crucial thing when it comes to video. Usually using a microphone will assist in that. And you must always use captions because over 60% of videos are watched without sound. And if you aren't using captions, then your message is completely lost.
Oh my God, I never knew that actually. That's interesting.
Captions are, you need to use captions in your videos, otherwise it's wasted money.
Okay, that's very good, very good tip here. What else have we got on?
Sure. So here is an example of an ad that I created for a Spanish school in Barcelona. One, we have a compelling headline that asks the question, are you dreaming of living in Barcelona? I mean, who wouldn't want to say yes to that, right? Number two, we have a hook that really calls out our target audience. And in this case, our target audience is expats or foreigners looking to move to Barcelona. Barcelona, as you might know, is quite a famous place for digital nomads and expats. So it's a great market to advertise to. Using emojis is always a good idea, using appropriate emojis. Here we are really telling a story from the point of view of the student. If you read the ad copy, not once do we mention the school, not once do we actually mention like our offer, because right at the end we say something about an intensive Spanish course, but it is really an authentic story about this girl in the image, using an authentic image of a real student. And then at the end, we do have a clear call to action, which I actually rubbed out. I don't know why, but it actually says, so contact us now to start your language learning journey.
That's pretty awesome. Hey, Herbert, I'm just aware that we'll continue on, by the way, and we're just going to extend this slightly, but just being aware that if you do need to go, we're going to be able to find a way of getting some more of this information to you. So first of all, just wanted to thank you if you do need to rush off. My name's Alex Asher. We've got Herbert Gerzer here. I'm happy to provide our emails, but we'll probably just follow up with a little email, so you're not going to lose track of us. And feel free if you need to head off. But there's some really great information here, so I am still going to keep Herbert going. I don't want to get him off the hook.
Nearly finished.
And we'll try and finish up. But thanks again for everyone that has joined us today.
Great, thank you. And you're probably wondering, okay, I'm going to implement all of these techniques and strategies and tips and what is the outcome of this? So I work with the German school in Berlin. I actually showed you one of the examples here. And in the space of 3 weeks, in the middle of this COVID-19 crisis, we marketed their online German courses, which they never had in their portfolio before. They transitioned online very quickly, and they needed help in marketing these online courses. So we ran these types of ads. Within 3 weeks, we were able to generate over 9,000 euros of direct course enrollments with an ad spend of 1,500, which is a return on ad spend of over 570%. And that's not even taking account the lifetime value of the about 40 students that we new students that we brought to the school, and also the contact forms that we generated, which will hopefully be followed up and turned into students as well.
Excellent.
I did want to give some tips for those people out there who are running B2B language schools, because I know that is also a fantastic niche. I love B2B, selling to companies. And the most effective way that I've found helping B2B schools is LinkedIn lead generation. So reaching out to those training and development managers, those HR managers and directors on LinkedIn. But there is a method and an art to doing that. First of all, you really need to update your profile and your photo to make it look interesting. Creating a banner, a LinkedIn banner that clearly shows what your offer is and maybe includes the logo of your school. Improving your headline. So usually where you have your position at the company, putting a headline in that really tells anyone that looks at your profile, what are you about? Who do you help? So for example, my headline on my LinkedIn profile is helping language schools grow online. So it is very clear what I do instead of, I don't know, managing director of ABC school. Okay, that could be a high school, that could be a language school, it could be any type of school. Then there is an about section on that you can include in your LinkedIn profile, and this is probably the most important part because this is basically like your own landing page, your sales page. Whenever someone is interested in a message or if you try to connect with them, they will look at your profile and they will read this about you section. But the about you section should not be about you. Exactly. It's got to be about them. How your school, how your services can solve their problem, whether that be improving their employees' English abilities to improve efficiency within their departments, things like that. Then once you have updated your profile, it's time to connect with your target group. You can simply do a search on LinkedIn of HR managers, for example, in your city, and then asking them to connect. Once you connect with them, you need to build rapport with them and establish a relationship before selling them. You don't want to write in the first message after they connect, hey, I am a language school. If you need any language courses, hit me up.
Yeah, just
no.
I'd like to add to that as well. When you're writing these messages, really think about one message, one result. So I think in that connecting message, we can get very lazy and impatient. And so if you're sending a message in LinkedIn saying, hey, I'm Alex, I run a language school. Would you like to connect? Oh, and I also have courses if you're interested. They're like two messages and you just killed the first one in terms of wanting to make a genuine connection. Instead, if you can make that genuine connection, like, hey, look, I understand that you're going to, it's not going to be of this message, but you want to get that idea like, hey, I'm not needing to sell you anything. I am wanting to start this relationship though. I feel that I've got something that's meaningful and valuable to you to add. And when you're ready, we can talk about what that looks like. But at the moment, I'm just here to add value. So when you're following me, you're not going to be pissed off because I'm sending all of these annoying kind of irrelevant messages. Instead, you're going to see, hey, this is actually a really good thing. I'm going to pass that on to Bob. He was struggling with this thing or whatever. You're going to get use out of following me and being connected. Whereas people are not going to connect with you if they're just like, oh, great, now I've just given this guy a license to bombard me with messages. It's not going to happen.
Wonderful. Yeah. And just one word of warning before embarking on this journey of investing, precious resources into paid advertising. If your organic content, and what I mean by organic content is if your Facebook and Instagram pages, if your website, your overall online presence is not up to scratch, if you aren't active on them and invest in creating engaging and organic content, then I would wait until investing into paid ads, to be completely honest.
Yeah, like otherwise, I mean, a lot of this sort of comes down to, what are you fishing with? If you're fishing with a bucket with a hole in the bottom of it, yeah, it's a good way to spend a lot of money, but not a good way of actually getting those fish
Exactly.
fish to jump in. So have a think on plugging a lot of those holes before spending the dollars.
Yeah. Yes, that was it. I would love to answer questions.
Oh yeah, question time. All right. Now people are usually quiet, but I'm hoping that this audience won't be, and we'll have lots of good questions for us. I let me start off then, Herbert. I still feel that this message is getting lost. Is a lot of physical schools are used to selling everything because they've built their business piece by piece, year on year, and so now they're offering everything, and they're kind of seeing a big drop in that revenue, right? Because they had a B2B section, a general ed section, a kids section, and so when they're advertising or when they're thinking about getting more people, they're thinking of like, I want to put people into those different buckets. How would you think about prioritization? Is there any kind of good frameworks of or ways that you would filter out which market I choose first, or do I try all of them at the same time?
Again, you really want to focus on the quickest path to revenue. At this stage, you know, in pre-COVID, I'm all about, you know, testing out different markets, you know, expanding your student population. But right now, it's about cash flow for all, especially brick and mortar language schools. So really stick to you know, markets that you know are, you know, ready to buy. Yeah.
Makes sense. And folks, we've got about 3 minutes left. So if you've got questions, you're going to have to be in quick because Herbert, he's a busy man. Unless anyone has any further questions, I'm going to try and come up with something, and it probably won't be nearly as good as your question. What have I heard though recently? Actually, this is another thing. A lot of physical schools have done things that have worked for them in a physical context. They've been going after agents. They've kind of relied on agents to bring in that money. Now they're kind of having to think about direct marketing. This is a pretty scary kind of thing for a lot of business owners. What have you kind of told business owners that, and this is a brave new world for them, what have you told them that can give them a bit of confidence that they can ride through this, even though it feels like this is a whole lot of new skills and opportunities? And, you know, how do you help people feel comfort when they feel like their world's been upside down?
No, and the example that you gave is very relevant. I spoke with an English language school in the UK, you know, probably 2 weeks ago, and their business is made up of 85% agent-driven business, which is incredible. I mean, that's extremely high. And they have done no online marketing up to now because they haven't needed it. And now, you know, all that agent business has dried up, and they're kind of like, okay, what do? We need to start with this. And again, you know, my strategy now is to really, you know, focus on retargeting first, to get that revenue. You know, that's the most certain form of you know, revenue right now, and it doesn't take a huge capital to or investment to really, you know, get that started. It's so quick, you can set it up, you know, in a few hours, and then once that's working, then it's about finding that next market that, again, you know, if you have a lot of agents in Brazil, then why not, you know, create an offer for that market, and then advertise to that market as well, and leverage your reputation.
Makes sense. Yeah, step by step, I guess.
Yeah.
And also, I guess if you don't know where to go, simply look at what you were selling before. You know, that was obviously working somewhat. You've already got some skills, at least in understanding those students the best. To start with the biggest number of students that you really understand. Well, thank you, Herbert. Lovely to meet you all virtually, of course. Thank you for joining us on chat. If you're interested in LearnCube and how we can provide a software solution that's for language schools and can really help your business thrive, please contact me. And likewise, I'll be in touch very soon. And Herbert, man, this guy knows his stuff. So if you need help with marketing, then this is definitely the person to look for. We are going to be providing more webinars. They will look a little bit more like this. So if you're looking for more advanced help, then contact Herbert directly. Herbert, do you want us to put in your chat how they can contact you as well? And I'll do the same. So if you've got any questions, you can kind of put that through.
Yeah, just contact me through my website. If you want to learn more, then you can schedule a time to jump on a call with me.
Excellent. And likewise, just send a message through info@learncube.com. And if you're wanting a demo or some time, just put that in the subject line so we know that A, you're from this webinar, and B, what it is that you think that we can help you with. Thank you all, and have a wonderful evening, day, whichever part of the world you are.
Great. Bye.
Bye now.